Coinop.org is a website that maintains a comprehensive database of coin-operated arcade games. Games that everyone knows about like Donkey Kong and Galaga are on here, but on February 6, 2000, a game was added to the site that very few, if anyone, had ever heard of. The game was called Polybius. On the Polybius page of the website, it says that the game was released in 1981. It also says the game was only released in one or two backwater arcades in a suburb of Portland. None of this is really that strange, but under the details section of the page about the game is where it gets weird. The history of this game is cloudy. There are all kinds of strange stories about how kids who played it got amnesia afterwards, couldn't remember their name or where they lived, etc. The bizarre rumors about this game are that it was supposedly developed by some kind of weird, military tech offshoot group, used some kind of proprietary behavior modification algorithm developed for the CIA or something. Kids who played it woke up at night screaming, having horrible nightmares. According to an operator who ran an arcade with one of these games, guys in black coats would come to collect records from the machines. Many people on the internet think this entry, and the game itself, are a hoax. Just another piece of creepypasta floating around the web. I agree with this idea, and I'll tell you why at the end of the video. But I'm convinced whoever made up this story knew a lot about the dark secrets of the United States government, especially the CIA, and what they were willing to do to their own people. Thanks for watching Paralopedia. I'm Jason from Parafiles.net, and today we're talking about Polybius. When I first read the Coinop page myself, there were a few things in the story that stood out to me. Kids who played it got amnesia afterwards, couldn't remember their name or where they lived. Used some kind of proprietary behavior modification algorithm developed for the CIA. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to know that the CIA, at one point at least, was very interested in behavior modification. This might sound like a tinfoil hat rant to many of you, but it's completely true. In 1953, the CIA started Project MKUltra. Project MKUltra was a program of experiments on human subjects that were designed to identify and develop drugs and procedures to be used in interrogations in order to weaken an individual and force confessions through mind control. They even thought they might be able to use mind control on spies and have them divulge information or possibly become double agents. Some in the agency even thought they might be able to do this without the spies even knowing what had happened to them. Many parts of MKUltra were legal, but much of it was illegal, shocking, and most disturbing of all, done without the consent of the individual involved, and without their knowledge. One of the first MKUltra experiments was done on college campuses. They paid students $25 a day to take LSD. After these experiments, they went to a federal prison in Kentucky and gave incarcerated drug addicts their drug of choice to participate in their prolonged LSD experiments. They gave one prisoner LSD for 80 straight days. Soon the CIA started to question if their test results were clear. Why? Well, because the test subjects knew they were getting LSD. Again, one of the main reasons behind MKUltra was to use mind control to turn spies without them knowing. To know if they could control someone's mind without them knowing, they came to the conclusion that they would have to experiment on people without them knowing. They knew they couldn't do experiments on the average suburban citizen. There was too much of a chance that they would get caught. They knew they had to get people that wouldn't report what had happened to them. So one of their first experiments involved having prostitutes drug their johns and have sex with them while the CIA agents watched behind two-way mirrors. They knew that if they were caught, or the Johns realized they had been drugged, that the last thing the men would do was to report what had happened to them to the police, media, or their family members. To them, it was the perfect cover. Another one of the CIA's favorite sources for unwilling test subjects were mental hospitals. Many times these tests were so secretive that the mental patients' own doctors didn't know that their patients had been given large amounts of LSD. Again, this was a group of people that even if they had told someone that they had been drugged, wouldn't be believed. In 1972, Richard Helms, the director of the CIA, left the agency. When he did, he ordered all the documents related to MKUltra to be destroyed. In 1975, President Ford appointed the Rockefeller Commission to look into past CIA abuses, such as their mind control program. At this time, a reporter named John Marks started looking for documents that proved the existence of the CIA's mind control programs. He filed a Freedom of Information request. Someone in the CIA's archives found a few boxes, mostly of financial information pertaining to MKUltra. These few boxes of records is the only proof that MKUltra ever existed, and what they had done. If not for the Freedom of Information Act, then these documents would have never seen the light of day. The Freedom of Information Act is a very powerful tool that can be used to make the government give up secrets that it doesn't want to give up. But there is something that is even more powerful, and that's the National Security Act of 1947. Federal agencies are required to disclose any information requested under the Freedom of Information Act, unless it falls under one of 9 exemptions, which protect interests such as personal privacy, national security, and law enforcement. This includes classified documents, which the remainder of MKUltra documents are classified. Many think that MKUltra, or a similar program, might have continued into the 70s and may even be going on to this very day. So, back to Polybius. If you look at the page on coinop.org that I talked about at the beginning of this video, and read the description, it sounds a lot like an MKUltra experiment. I honestly don't think it was, but whoever made up this story, I believe knew about MKUltra, and created the story to sound like it was part of it. The kids in this story sounded like they might have been suffering from the after effects of an LSD trip. Not only that, but the guys in black coats would come and collect records from the machines, and behavior modification algorithm developed for the CIA. Parts of the story sound just like something the CIA might have done during their MKUltra days. To me, all this sounds too fishy to be real, but I might be wrong. It's happened once before. I don't think MKUltra was the only influence for this urban legend though. I also think this book might have had a lot to do with it. Arcade by Robert Max is a story of several children that start to lose their minds because of the new arcade in town. It starts to control their minds and make them do things they don't want to do, similar to what Polybius is said to do. It'd be awesome if you checked out parafiles.net for more on this and anything else paranormal related. There you can also find links to the Smoke and Mirrors podcast. Thanks for watching, and remember, there's no reason to be normal when you can be paranormal. Take care.